The Winston Cup stars head for the Rock, and a surprise pole sitter will lead him to the green. A surprise winner in the Busch Grand National battle while Benson claims the war. We'll talk live with the champ this morning. A young German takes the world driving crown this morning on the Pacific Rim. It's race day, Sunday, October the 22nd, 1995. And our live racing coverage and our live rodeo event on TNN, preempting the evening edition of Race Day last week, but you won't miss a lap of the action. We've got a week of champions to tell you about and a full preview of today's Winston Cup round at Rockingham. All of that in the next 30 minutes. And we begin today in the Sandhills of North Carolina, the AC Delco 400 at Rockingham, live here on TNN in just about an hour. Now, Friday, for the 13th time in 15 races, rain affected Winston Cup qualifying. Yesterday, everyone got one chance to make the field. Many surprised by the driver who came out on top. The man will lead them to the line today is Hut Strickland. Let's go live to Rockingham. Mike Joy will call the action for us today. Mike, a great run for Hut Strickland.
Yes, it was. There were a number of surprises here in qualifying, Rick, and the latest breaking news is that Jimmy Spencer, despite a broken shoulder from yesterday's Busch race crash, will start today. Rich Bickle will stand by in relief. Buddy Baker, topsy-turvy qualifying for today's race.
Boy, oh boy, the first three positions, Hut Strickland, Michael Waltrip, and Ward Burton, all of them are non-winners. Today might be their first.
And starting 12th, Gary Bradbury. Prior to qualifying, he'd had a total of 9 practice laps on this track. He's kind of the wild card in the field. Let's go down and meet the man who's on the pole. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Mike, and a very happy crowd it is down here at the Quaker State Trailer today. Very popular win, very popular pole win for young Hut Strickland. His first of his career. Everybody down here a little bit surprised, even you, but what a great run.
It really was, Glenn. I'll tell you, we got, the car was really good when we got here, and Mark Smith come with a super good qualifying engine, and, and plus we got a good early number that certainly helped us there, and, really just a whole combination of things, and, the guys on the team done a great job on setting the car up for me, and, just one of them times that I was really on too, so, it was just a whole combination of things that really worked in our favor. Well,
now, it's already been announced that you're moving to the number 8 team next year. 2016 still for sale. This has got to help some.
Well, it certainly does. Kenny Bernstein called me, and just so happened I answered the phone right after qualifying. He said he wanted to know where in the world that come from, and he calls every time and keeps tabs on us. And I told him, I said, well, I felt really good with the car and everything. Everything went good for us. So we was all surprised somewhat, but we felt like we really went after it.
Well, congratulations and good luck today, and I understand you got something you got to do now.
Yeah, I got to go back inside and watch the rest of race day here. Y'all holding me up here a little bit.
Hey, I'm not going to keep him from that, guys.
No, indeed. All right, thanks, Glenn, and good luck to Hut Strickland today. A surprise pole starter. Should be quite a shootout, of course, this afternoon. And Jeff Gordon will take another step, he presumes, toward his first Winston Cup title. We'll let you know whether it works out that way. All the highlights and plenty of reaction tonight on the PM edition of Race Day here at 7:30 Eastern. Now, the Busch Grand National Stars kicked off TNN's Rockingham doubleheader yesterday in the AC Delco 200. It was title time for Johnny Benson Jr. He needed only to finish 15th or better to wrap up the crown. Race Day's Matt Yoakum tells us the champion earned his trophy the hard way.
Rain showers washed out qualifying, so the field was set by points. Protagonist Johnny Benson and Chad Little were on the front row. Little grabbed the early lead, trying to keep his slim hopes alive. Little thought he got a break when Benson dropped to 20th after a bad pit stop, but with Little still in the top 7, it all unraveled with 65 to go. Brian Donnelly, who was 24 laps down, stuck Little into the turn 1 wall. That officially handed the championship to Benson. The new champ gambled and stayed out during the caution to take the lead. That proved vital because of the wreck fest to follow. Jeff Green shoved third-place Doug Hevron out of the way and started an 8-car melee. No injuries, just tons of bent metal. After the restart, Mike Wallace led Benson as they stormed to a wild finish. On the last lap, Benson swung high in turn 3 and the shoving match ensued, but they forgot about Todd Bodine. He dropped a 72-car low and snuck under the leaders to snatch a victory in a photo finish. Wallace inched by the new champ for second. Ward Burton was the big mover, starting 26th, finishing 4th. Checking our Speed Stick Fast Track point standings, brought to you by Menon, sees Benson, the 5th champion in the series' 14-year history, to clinch before the finale. Little isn't out of the woods yet. Mike McLaughlin is now only 17 points back in 3rd. Reporting for Race Day, I'm Matt Yoakum.
Well, Johnny Benson and company get to celebrate for 2 weeks before heading south. The finale at the new Homestead Motorsports Park south of Miami. The celebration includes a visit live with us here in just a couple of minutes. More to come on race day. More champions to be crowned this week in Formula One and in the NHRA. We'll look back at last week's NHRA action at the Texas Motorplex outside Dallas. All 3 pro titles signed, sealed, and delivered. Race day roars back at you in a moment. Meantime, let's go halfway around the world. The Formula One circus in the home stretch of its season. 3 races left in the year, starting this morning in Aida, Japan, the Pacific Grand Prix. And Michael Schumacher needed a 4th or better to become only the 5th Formula One driver ever to win back-to-back championships. Well, Schumacher lined up 3rd for his championship chase today. Pole sitter David Coulthard checked out early off the pole. Schumacher gaining ground in the pits here as Benetton crew very quick, boosting the German champion up to 2nd spot. Title rival Damon Hill kept his chances alive, but a gray cloud follows him. Here, Eddie Irvine closes the door on Damon, nearly taking off Hill's nose piece. Ooh, close one. Now, the 2nd round of pit stops. Schumacher's crew again the quickest. And this will be all the German star needs to grab the lead this morning. He roars off to win the race and the championship. Schumacher's victory in Japan, his 2nd straight Formula One world crown. The Williams team takes the final 2 podium spots with Coulthard and Hill. The title may be wrapped up, but the battle for 2nd is still on this season between the teammates Hill and Coulthard. While the constructors' battle will go down to the final 2 races, they'll still be in Japan in a couple of weeks and then in Australia. Now, last week, the NHRA drag racing pros for our Mopar Performance Update visiting the NHRA Motorplex to settle all 3 95 Pro Series championships. In Pro Stock, Warren Johnson didn't make the final, but his 2nd round win here clinches the crown. Now, Johnson does make it to victory lane, though. Kurt Johnson takes his 2nd national win of the year from Bob Patrick. A 7:046 at 195 miles an hour. WJ wraps up the pro title over Jim Yates. Kurt Johnson now 195 points back in 3rd with 1 race to go. In funny car, John Force clinches his 3rd straight title just by making the finals in Dallas. Chuck Edgell spoils the party, though, on the far side. 5.043 seconds at more than 301 miles an hour to win the race. Force becomes the first 5-time funny car champion with his runner-up finish last Sunday. The outspoken Californian has lost the title only once in the 90s. That was in 92. In Top Fuel, a tour de force on the near side. Defending champ Scott Kalita in car number 1, the defending Top Fuel champ, over 300 miles an hour all day Sunday except for 1 run. In the finals here, he beats Blaine Johnson with a 471 at more than 305 miles an hour. Kalita's 6th win in the last 9 races ties him for the most wins in a season, and he's the first driver to defend his Top Fuel crown since Joe Amato won 3 straight from 90 to 92. NHRA stars have 1 more event this year. They wrap up the 95 campaign next week live here on TNN. They'll be in Pomona, California. Now, we're going back to Rockingham in about an hour. Doyle Ford will put him under green for the AC Delco 400. TNN's Glenn Jarrett on pit road for us there today. He's back with us live. Now, Glenn, the silly season wrapping up, but one guy we don't have any concerns about, 7-time champion Dale Earnhardt. Thanks for joining us, Dale and Glenn.
Well, thanks a lot, Rick, and no, nothing silly here, but some announcements were made this week, Dale, about the crew chief situation. Fill us in. What's happened?
Well, right now we're just going to pull in from within. David Smith and the guys are going to work hard putting it together, and I think we can just carry on. We've got good people that supported Andy and done a good job, so it's just going to pull everybody from within and do the job at hand next year and go on.
All right, also, I have heard some rumors surface. Now, I made a report back in July that he may not be with Richard Childress, and Dale Earnhardt quickly set me straight about that. But I'm hearing rumors now that you have re-signed with Richard into the year 2000.
We're working on that right now. It's not completely done, but that's the direction everybody's looking, and that's what, I got a contract through 96, so, it's a little early to be doing it, but we're working on it right now.
Now, Dale was kind enough to interrupt his pre-race lunch to come out and talk to us. And the most important question that we want to ask you right now, what were you eating?
Pork chops and beans.
Well, we don't want to keep him from his pork chop and his beans too long. One quick question. Going to have some fun today. You're the guy chasing. You're the guy putting on the pressure.
Well, that's true. And, it's the kind of racetrack that can get you, or, you can be a hero here. So we run good here. We won here last year. So that's what we want to do is just go out and run a good, smooth race and have a good finish. And whatever happens to him, we just can't look back. We just got to go forward with ours.
Okay. Best of luck to you today. Thanks for joining us. Rick, back to you. Dale Earnhardt all set to go today as soon as he finishes those pork chop and beans.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt his race morning breakfast. Thanks. TNN's Glenn Jarrett for us in Rockingham, and we appreciate Dale Earnhardt taking time to talk to us. Well, Glenn and the whole crew will be back live at 12:30 Eastern, our TNN live coverage of the AC Delco 400 right here. When we continue, we'll go back to Rockingham a little later in the broadcast, but we're going to show you more of the biggest week of the year for the SCCA's amateur racers. Valvoline Runoffs Week up at Mid-Ohio, and we're going to show you again a wild finish as as wild a finish as you'll ever see to wrap up the ASA's 95 season in Jennerstown. Keep your hands off that remote control. We're back in a minute. Last Sunday, the AC Delco Challenge Series for the ASA stock cars came down to one of the wildest finishes you'll ever see at the season finale. Race Day's Ralph Shaheen was in Jennerstown last week. He's here with us live. Ralph, 17 races, that Bob Seneker win capping an unbelievable campaign. It's been a great ASA year.
It really was, Rick, and the $3 million ASA Series did go down to the final event. Although point leader Brian Reffner only needed to lead a lap or finish 30th or better to take his first title. Seven-time champ Mike Eddy still had a mathematical shot at a record 8th crown, but he needed a major Reffner hiccup, which he got. And Reffner had a tire and brake problems early on. It was not to be this time, however. The Black Knight's Pontiac motor went south along with his title hopes. He limped to a 37th place finish, handing the title to Reffner. But watch this, the big finish came when Seneker went head-to-head with Joe Knott for the race win. They raced side by side on the final laps, and with the checkers in the air, they hit hard. Seneker gets high up on the inside wall, nearly going over, and back across the line, a bumper ahead of Knott. The two spun down into turn 1. Raines dodged the Carnage for 3rd. Reffner finished 14th to clinch the series championship. Now that was quite an incredible finish for the ASA season this year in 1990, one of the fastest growing series in the 90s. Now they will start off next year at the refurbished facility in Lakeland, Florida, and possibly might make visits to Memphis and Nashville. Now last weekend marked the Sports Car Club of America's annual fall right, the Valvoline Runoffs. 25 national champions were crowned at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. You have over 700 competitors. Human stories dominate the news. Dan Carmichael says he fits the mold of the young, aggressive Formula Atlantic racer. He built a 6-second lead on his way to a 3rd national title, his first in Atlantics, and he is 76 years young. Dan is the oldest winner in runoffs history. Here are all the Formula Class titleists. Ramon Pardita from West Liberty, Iowa, took the Formula 440 race in honor of his crew chief, who is in a coma after a street accident. In Formula Ford, Bruce May and Tom Schweitz carried their fight to the checkered flag. May from Plainville, Indiana, grabbed the win by 0.3 of a second. Here are the GT National Champions. In GT1, the amateur equivalent of Trans Am, San Diego's Michael Lewis took the win. Special nod goes to GT4 winner Russ Theus. The Garden City, Michigan racer took his first title in 15 straight tries. The production cars are the essence of this amateur event. In G production, Kent Prather led all but 4 laps as he took his 3rd national title. In E production, Bruce Cavale won in his first runoffs appearance since 1978. The H production win for Steve Hussey marks his 2nd national crown, while in F production, Harold Flesher took the win after Rick Haynes was penalized 2 positions by SCCA stewards. Well, tonight, Rick, we'll have all the rest of the highlights from the Mid-Ohio races, including the spec racers and the sports classes, and we'll even have the showroom stock finishers for
Look forward to that. Dan Carmichael, he's just a kid at 76. He ought to be good for a few more titles.
Can you imagine that? 76 years old and to win in Formula Atlantic, one of the toughest divisions, a very physical race car. A real credit to him.
Congratulations to him. Thanks, Ralph. We'll see you a little bit later on. Well, the IndyCar IRL wars are really heating up. We'll have the latest from a Brickyard legend on that. And when race day returns, we'll talk live with NASCAR's newest champion. Johnny Benson Jr. is here. We'll have all that and more in a moment. He's in 92, the ASA Rookie of the Year. 93, the series champion. Came to Busch Grand National Racing in 94, won Rookie of the Year again. And if you follow our pattern here, well, you know what had to come next. The Busch Grand National Series title, which Johnny clinched live here on TNN yesterday. Good to have you with us again. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You were with us much earlier in the season. Did you have any inkling then that you could win a championship this year?
Well, we sure hoped that we could. You know, Base Motorsports team's done a great job for us in our rookie year, and we hope that we could be a contender for the, 1995. And having Lipton T on board, man, just made it such a great year.
Are you worried about expectations now that you've won this national title? You've had this run of championships in the 90s?
No, we're not worried about it. We're just going to try to go next year and try to do the best we can, whether it's run for Rookie of the Year or just for, the points itself. Just try to do the best we can all year long.
Has it sunk in yet?
Just a little bit. It's been great to be able to win a championship at a local track and then ASA championship and now the Busch Grand National Championship. It's just unbelievable to be able to, have these championships, around to have.
Now, if you look back the last several years, the Busch champions, Chuck Bound, David Green, Joe Nemechek, They haven't had much luck in Winston Cup racing to this point. Is there a jinx there? Are you worried about that?
Well, I hope there's not a jinx there, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. I mean, I know it's going to be tough going in, but I'm going with a good team with Bahari Racing and with, you know, Pennzoil being there. Man, it should be a pretty strong effort.
And when do you get started with the 30 car? Have you tested it all for them yet?
We ran a couple laps down to Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and that went really well. And looking forward to being able to do more and more testing. But, you know, we've been trying to get through this year and try to get this championship done. And now that we've got that, we've got one more race to go. Then we're going to see what we can do, see if we can't get in a 30 car and get some more testing in.
All right, well, good luck with all that. We'll look forward to seeing you in Victory Lane in a Winston Cup car.
Yeah, thank you, Rick.
Johnny Benson Jr., the Busch Grand National Point Champion, with us here live. All told, there were 1,000 laps of short track stock car and truck action last Sunday. 600 of it live here on TNN with the All-Pro Warriors of NASCAR at Nashville and the Craftsman Super Trucks at Bakersfield. Didn't get to show you the highlights last Sunday night, so we'll take care of that now. The All-American 400, a fall Music City tradition. In the 90s, it's become a Jeff Purvis benefit. Here in the 51 car, the two-time winner showed he had the horses early at Nashville last week. No one mounted much of a challenge, although Ron Young tried, chasing Purvis in the late laps, but Purvis motored away to his third All-American 400 win in 5 years. Here's how the All-Pro point battle looks now. Leader Hal Goodson still with a big cushion after a 7th place finish for Ron Barfield. He used the third, actually Barfield was third last week, to gain ground on defending champ Mike Cope. Now the second half of last Sunday's Twin Bill, the NASCAR Super Trucks went 200 laps, a wild one at Bakersfield, California. Point leader Mike Skinner in the Good Wrench truck saved his tires for the end of the race, and it worked. 18 laps from the finish, Skinner blows by Ernie Irvin, takes the lead that he would never relinquish. His season's 7th victory. Behind him, Mike Bliss and Ernie Irvin side by side for a photo finish, won by Bliss. Now, the victory last Sunday all but seals the championship of the Super Truck Series for Skinner. An 88-point margin over Joe Ruttman. The season finale comes up next week at Phoenix, and he needs a 14th or better, Skinner does, to claim the first ever Super Truck title. Another skirmish in the war for control of IndyCar racing in this country last week. The CART IndyCar board naming 3 new directors, including longtime car owner Pat Patrick, Steve Horn, and champion car owner Barry Green. Gone from the board is A.J. Foyt Jr. The board says that IndyCar is reviewing plans to run an alternative event against the Indy 500 next May. Roger Penske, though, confirming there'll be no 500-miler on Memorial Day at Michigan. Penske's top man Dan Luganbuehl tells us for now they have just one 500-mile event scheduled, and that's the traditional date in July. A major advocate of the new Indy Racing League is A.J. Foyt, who took his fleet of race cars to Phoenix for testing last week. Foyt will run both series, but he likes the fact that IRL should once again give oval track short track stars a road to get to Indianapolis.
What Tony wants to do is bring back a lot of the American drivers that's run a lot of the ovals, such as like Tony Stewart. That's the biggest reason for the IRL being started.
Well, Stewart tested the IRL car. Foyt tested his Winston Cup car. AJ's going to try to run the Phoenix race next week. We'll let you know how that goes. In the wake of what the IndyCar loyalists are calling a lockout of the Indy 500, they've done some things. CART has put in a toll-free hotline, which we're going to show you here. You can call them, offer feedback about whether they should run an alternative event to the 500. Also, ticket information and club memberships will be there. And on the PM edition of Race Day tonight, we'll have more on this brewing battle. I guess we don't have the phone number ready. We'll tell you about it later tonight. IndyCar's president and CEO Andrew Craig will be here live exclusively in the studio tonight. We'll talk with him about this war for control of IndyCar racing and the possible CART Memorial Day event. That's tonight here on Race Day at 7:30 Eastern, and we hope you can be with us. And when we come back, we're not done yet. Neither is the TNN Motorsports team. As we go to break, here's today's television lineup. Stick and ball events need not apply. A full day of racing ahead, and we're back tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Stay with us. The life of a Winston Cup superstar like Jeff Gordon. Gordon was in Bowling Green, Kentucky recently to check out how Chevrolet builds the Corvette. Not everybody gets to go to the Corvette assembly plant, of course. Jeff took time to climb into a brand new Corvette being prepared for a lucky race fan during Charlotte's race weekend. An added bonus, Jeff even autographed the car for its new owner. Then the thousands of entries were narrowed down to just 5, each of whom got a set of keys. The lucky set belonged to one Jeff Kirkendall, the big winner at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. Jeff fired up his brand new machine and drove it home following the UAW GM Quality 500 2 weeks ago on Sunday. The big question now is who gets to drive it, Jeff or his wife, and I don't think you have to worry much about who's going to get the car keys in that household. That's all the time we have on Race Day this Sunday morning. Before we go, congratulations, too, to Dante Bongiovanni of Westfield, Massachusetts, who's spending the day with Rusty Wallace today at Rockingham and Rusty's team after taking our Win with the Driver sweepstakes. Tonight at 7:30 on the PM edition of Race Day, we'll announce our final sweepstakes winner. We'll get to travel to Phoenix for TNN's final event of the year next weekend. We'll see you tonight, 7:30 Eastern, all the Rockingham highlights, plus the World of Outlaws and more on Race Day.